Kuşadası, Turkey. Cruise ship docks, take a tour bus to the ancient sites, maybe buy a rug, and leave. But if you hang back in town, then what? In this video, we'll cover the usual port basics and check out some things to do within walking distance, including some gems we didn't expect. I'm Troy, and this is the Port Lowdown. In our previous video, here's a link, we explored the star attraction here, Ephesus, with a terrific local guide. But we didn't cover the town proper. Since Kuşadası is mostly viewed as a jumping off point to Ephesus, the House of the Virgin Mary, the Basilica of St. John, and so on, the town itself is considered, well, a side note. So let's give it some love. To review, Kuşadası is located on the western coast of Turkey. At its closest point, this coast is only about 1.1 miles from Greek territory, making it a major crossing point between the two countries. So you'll see lots of ferry traffic here, sharing space with your cruise liner. Lots. The port itself, Ege Ports, faces town directly, making shopping and food super accessible. 4 large ships can dock here, and the walk to town is short and flat. Head towards the terminal building and you'll find passenger processing. That's mostly for ferry passengers. A last-minute souvenir store, and your basic, but neat as a pin, bathroom. The passenger terminal is smallish, actually. The main action, at least if you're on an organized tour, is right outside. Modified New York Stock Exchange floor or tour transit hub. You decide. You'll find yourself madly scanning for the right tour sign, which eventually you get to. Not too bad. It's just a tight squeeze with everyone making the dash to Ephesus. Plus, there are some cool service opportunities right there. Turkish baths, your own James Bond-style boat car, and car rentals. Also, this awesome find that we'll tell you about later in the video. The only other way out is through the shopping gauntlet, the Scala Nuova village. So if you know me from previous videos, you know how I feel about mandatory shopping walks at cruise ports, captured market, tourist prices, and all that stuff. And the sellers here are on the aggressive side, but not the chase after you and drag you inside. More like call out to you and sometimes make you laugh.
I like your umbrella. I need $5.
Now, nothing wrong with shopping here if that's your thing, just don't expect a fair price and plan to haggle. Otherwise, they have a pretty good and free bathroom along the way. And a Starbucks on the opposite side of the complex. No bathroom there, but the view of the harbor is cool. Getting out, you face pretty much town center, the start of the Grand Bazaar, the waterfront promenade, and the harbor. The port entrance front, by the way, is a bustling choke point when lots of ships and ferries are in town. Now I think I know why all those ferries were hustling and hauling butt today to make room for that big cruise ship to come in and take up all the other spaces. So they were rushing out here real quick and then get out and make room for the other cruise line. Getting to the sites outside of town, minus the tour buses, leave you with a few options. Taxis are everywhere here. Not just collecting en masse right outside the port terminal entrances, but patrolling the streets and other areas of tourist interest in town. They are fixed rate per vehicle, so not a bad option if you have a group of 4. They typically provide a round trip to Ephesus, including wait times for about 80 to 100 euro as of recording. Include House of the Virgin Mary to the mix, and it's about 120 to 140. Credit cards are not accepted. Cash only, euros or USD preferred. Bring smaller, crisp bills, preferably to have the exact fare ready in case the driver can't provide change. And always agree on the price before the ride. Another option is trying the public minibus, or the dolmuş. It's very cheap, around $2 to $3 equivalent each way. But you need to pay the driver in Turkish lira. The bus will drop you on the main highway at an informal stop about 1 kilometer, about a 10 to 12 minute walk, to the Ephesus lower gate entrance. Because the complex is on a slope, you'll be making a hot, uphill climb all the way up to the upper gate. Then you need to walk back to the lower gate and get back to the same informal bus stop to return. In our opinion, not worth the extra time and energy. I would say taxi is a bare minimum to make the most of your day, short of something arranged beforehand. Back in town, let's get some basics out of the way. The currency is the Turkish lira, not the euro. While most stores and cafes here take credit cards and sometimes euro, lira comes in handy for the public toilets, who almost always ask for lira, but a few take euros. If you don't have spare euro handy, best bet is to stick to the cafes and the port complex bathrooms. Sidewalk quality is pretty solid. Flat, even tiles with slopes for crossing the street and well-marked crosswalks. The occasional cobblestone sections, of course. But the town is mostly flat, especially near the markets close to the port. Now you'll notice a cluster of ATMs just outside the port complex towards the harbor. While these look fishy, they actually are a bank connected to some of the biggest banks in the country. However, they charge really high fees, like 8 to 10%. Ditto for this bank-affiliated ATM, Yapı Kredi. So word on the street is, for the best rates, use this one, Vakif Bank. Just always decline the conversion to your home currency. And as far as pharmacies are concerned, you'll be spoiled for choice. There's plenty. One of which, this excellent local pharmacy about a 10-minute walk from the port, also sells lotions and cosmetics. Thus, they provide a husband's sofa. If you know, you know. Now, all of this is clustered around the Grand Bazaar area, which can be pretty cheeky and loaded with carpet stores. I can't speak for what a good deal here might look like, but I imagine you'll need to harness some negotiating skills. It's a culture. The fun here is to simply soak it all in, with some truly bizarre signage and some statements about, what, us? What do you mean, guys? Now, while the town has some museums, such as the Micro Miniature Museum or the small modern art gallery near the harbor, I'd qualify these as short diversions and a way to escape the summer heat. Now, we know all these locations and tips can get overwhelming, so we devised some tools to lay it all out in detail. We created a printable cruise port guide, which offers essential information like ATMs, sidewalk quality, landmarks, even tips of potential problems to watch out for. And we also included our specially pinned Google Map guide, which you can download, save to your own account, and use for directions even without an internet connection. If you want to give these a try, scan our QR code here or at the end of this video, or check out our store at portlowdown.com. For all the shopping, the real pleasures of town are walking along the waterline. The Southwest Promenade takes you past the more congested touristed section. This is where the Grand Bazaar entrance is nearby, as well as a small park, with kids' play area and cafes. This area feels the heat from the travel hustle the most, but once you get past it and head towards Pigeon Island, the walkway opens up to some lovely views of your ship and Kuşadası Fortress. The sidewalk slopes slightly uphill as you approach the pier, which you turn right to get to. Now, the pier leading up to the fortress is pretty wild. Local tour boats line the pier and offer cruise trips to surrounding islands, and these are just as much for domestic tourists as international ones. And it's a crazy collection to boot. Foam party and animation? Gotta wonder. And yes, I know that these are bought ad spots, but it's pretty interesting to consider getting a root canal or Botox with your snorkel trip. At the end of the pier is the city's landmark, Pigeon Island, an open-air Byzantine Ottoman island fortress, and a small maritime museum. Even if you're not interested in maritime history, just being here early in the morning or early as possible when it's still cool, and it's a lovely walk and a lovely stroll through basically an elevated park. I kind of treat it like that. A lot of climbing with stairs, but up here, it's very peaceful and cool. To sit in the shade, in utter peace and quiet, yeah, it's worth it. And lots of cats. The cats, as well as the birds. Birdhouses are everywhere, are special residents of the city where most folks have a hand in taking care of. On the north side of the promenade is the more relaxed and local area. The crowds thin out and it's mostly residents living there every day. And the view is more expansive with some impressive sculptures, including the Hand of Peace. Now, there's a park directly across the street from here called Kasım Yaman Park, which has an open-air archaeological garden with Roman, Byzantine, and Ottoman relics. And it's just a great place to rest with plenty of shade, benches, and nearby cafes. Food-wise, our research took us here to Erzincan Restaurant near the park, an established venue for nearly 3 decades. They're famous for 2 specialties: their obscenely huge balloon lavash bread, with hadari, a savory yogurt dip, and ezme, a tomato, pepper, and onion dip with pomegranate molasses, both pretty amazing. And the testi kebab, a meat and vegetable stew baked in a sealed clay pot, or testi, and presented in dramatic fashion.
Shepherds used to do this, and they put a lot of different stuff, right? Vegetable, seasoning, different kind of meats, put it inside a pot, bury it where it's hot with some coals, leave it there while they tended their flock, and then come back and open up for their dinner. This is delicious.
By the way, the waiters standing outside of restaurants inviting customers in aren't just for tourist traps. Established places do it too. It's considered proactive hospitality and hustle, and an expected part of business practice here to stay competitive in a busy marketplace. And they finished the meal with a traditional Turkish tea, with a small education mixed in.
This is served very hot. You don't see it because it's kind of
I
wet.
can feel it. It's
yeah,
really
but you
hot.
could feel it. There's a reason why this is the shape. Okay, first, because it's so hot, this allows you to hold just the rim. Number one. Number two, this allows this higher part to cool down, and the bottom stays hot until you're done. Oh, and by the way, don't ask for milk, please, ever. You either drink it with your sugar or drink it black. This is a sign of Turkish hospitality. So when somebody, give you tea, they consider you a friend.
And one more important recommendation before we board the ship. Remember the special store we mentioned at the tour bus staging area? Well, it turns out they not only have a prime spot, but sell authentic garments handmade by a local women's collective. My wife got a shawl here that she still uses. And at a reasonable price. It's definitely worth a look. Kuşadası turned out to be a rewarding stop on both of our port days. If you're new, you're in for an enriching experience. Coming back again, you're in for a treat. Can't go wrong. If you got good value from this video, be sure to like and share with your shipmates.
Or you could join our channel memberships and support us in providing all this information to independent cruiser and have access to the Google map that we created over the years. Delish.